Nothing can push you to the brink like a sibling, especially a younger one. For 10 years, I was an only child, and what a grand time it was. My parents and I got along like gangbusters for the most part. I established myself as their golden child, their doted upon son, a proud member of the Clean Plate Society, and ready to please my parental units at the drop of a hat. We kept a clean house. We went on fun, carefree vacations. Our little trio of a family was, dare I say it, blissful. One afternoon, my mom and dad sat 7-year-old me down and posed a question that I deemed hypothetical at the time. How would you like to have a little baby brother or sister? I slid back in my chair and told them, thanks, but no thanks. I like things just the way they were. My parents told me, too bad. It's going to happen. Turns out that they had already started the process, and before you think that my prudes of parentals started to go into details about what happened in their marriage bed, starting the process meant that they were applying for an international adoption. The paperwork was filed by this point, and they just hoped that I would bestow them with my seal of approval. But come on, Carl and Deb, you're better than that. For whatever reason, my mom and dad couldn't have another natural biological offspring, so they went through other channels to find a second kid. I had 2 friends down the street who were both adopted from India, which led my parents into thinking that they could find success via those channels. Adoption takes time. With my family, about 2.5 years. The running joke was always to come home and ask if my brother in a box had been delivered. And we'd laugh and smile, and it seemed like the day would never come when he would arrive, and we'd have another member of our family, and then God fucking damn it, it did. We met Sam at the airport on his first day in America. In the international terminal, an adoption agent passed off this pint-sized brown boy, having just turned 1 year of age, into my crying mother's arms. All of us reached out to welcome Sam, whose face had corkscrewed into a skeptical and scared expression like, who the hell are these people? Up until that point, he had been orphaned in Calcutta, most likely the child of a child prostitute, and had little to no human connection with anyone. As we gawked at him, Sam stretched his hands back to the adoption agent, pleading to return to the safety of her arms. Instead of embracing Sam and reassuring him that he was with his new, loving family, the adoption agent barked an order, "No, you stay with them now." The agent then turned to us, motioning with her thumb in an exhausted disgust, informing my parents that this one didn't sleep the entire flight from Bombay. Sam and I didn't necessarily start off on the right foot. By the time he crash landed in our lives, the two of us were more than just a decade apart in age. Where my goal was to be the golden, ever-dutiful child, the apple of my parents' eye, Sam set his sights on being a hellraiser, an instigator of fights, and a wicked fire starter, both figuratively and literally. Worst of all were Sam's screams, which would lock into my eardrums at all hours of the day, making it hard to think and even harder to live up to being the good son. He fought us tooth and nail at every turn. If there was something my parents tried to impart upon him, all Sam had to do was open his mouth and let the trumpet sound. He was rejecting the three of us almost as much as I alone was rejecting him. The only thing that calmed Sam down was a plush toy of Babar, the colonizing and imperialistic elephant from the book series of the same name. Sam chose to call him Bobby, and thank the Dark Lords on high for that plush animal's magic ability to pacify. Our entire family could use Bobby as leverage or incentive to get Sam to do whatever had to be done and eventually go the fuck to sleep. Now, there were two other members of our family living with us at this time, our Labrador pit bull mixes, Jackson and Taz. Playtime with the dogs had reduced Bobby to nothing but a head, until one evening it was eaten whole by Taz. Sam completely lost it, nearly destroying the entire house, ripping his room into a disaster zone, and refusing to go to bed as he choked through his tantrum-fueled cries. The next morning, running on sleepless fumes that only a good parent has the power to siphon from a bone-dry tank, my mother followed Taz around our backyard for nearly an hour and a half until Bobby was reborn through the back door, at which point my mother washed him, dried him, and gave him back to Sam. That was the last straw. My parents, who, yes, I loved and got along with most of the time, basically, but wouldn't spring to get me a Super Nintendo for my last 3 birthdays, were willing to go to disgusting lengths to make Sam happy. Line in the sand drawn. Gauntlet thrown down. I was not going to live like this anymore. Something had to be done, and I figured I needed to be the one to take action. Seeking release from the hellhole my house had morphed into, I found escape in fictional stories involving the American legal justice system. John Grisham in 5th grade, Law & Order reruns in 6th. I knew that if I could get justice anywhere against my arch nemesis of a little shit named Sam, it was going to be through the United States legal system. And as luck would have it, we needed to go to court to finalize Sam's adoption. Sam's adoption hearing was scheduled for a Wednesday morning at the county courthouse. My parents let me skip school to stand in a hallway while my dad yawned to stay awake and my mom dodged Sam's fist in her face as she tried to soothe him into some state of submission. I sat on a bench in my Mervyn's Pee-wee suit and clip-on tie, even though it wasn't required or requested by my parents, and thought, what would Sam Waterston do? A bailiff motioned us into the courtroom, and I was shocked that the audience was not filled to capacity at 8:45 on a Wednesday morning to hear the verdict of what I deemed to be the trial of the century. We made our way to the table up front with our attorney, had barely taken a seat when we were asked to rise for the entrance of the judge. This was my guy. I could tell. He looked like an eldest child. We could relate. Surely he'd see things from my point of view. The judge said something and we took our seats. Our attorney stood and made some remarks. A clerk read from a paper, and then we were all asked to stand again. The judge looked my dad in the eye and said, "Sir, do you take this child to legally be in your custody and care as if he were your own natural blood?" My dad, who excels at rising to the occasion, replied in a very stately, fatherly manner, "Yes, Your Honor, I do." Next, the judge faced my mom. Sam giggled maniacally in her arms as the judge repeated the question. "Ma'am, do you take this child to legally be in your custody and care as if he were your own natural blood?" My mom was crying, apparently tears of joy, and managed to croak out, "Yes, Your Honor, I do, of course I do." Finally, the judge set his sights on me. Peering over the top of his glasses, his voice turned grave, and he asked, "Young man, do you take this child to be your brother, as if he were your own flesh and blood, and make him a part of your family?" I took a deep breath. "No, Your Honor, I do not." Time stopped. Worlds collided. The judge tilted his head to one side, not anticipating this response to ever be uttered in his courtroom, at least not for a proceeding of this nature. "Oh, and why is that?" Well, Your Honor, I was not consulted on Sam's adoption. I was merely asked as a formal courtesy after the process had begun. But that isn't the real reason why I'm so upset. The real reason is that this little child has destroyed my family, my perfect, happy family. My parents have gone from kind-hearted and gentle people to raving lunatics. He never shuts up. He never listens to us. Clearly, we are the wrong family for this kid. He does not belong with us. Send him back to India. I rest my case. The courtroom went extremely quiet. Everyone, even Sam, had shut up and turned their attention to me. I kept my head down, awaiting a guilty verdict and a sentencing date. Instead, all I got was chuckling. Quiet at first, but steadily gaining traction until it burst forth in a dam break of belly laughs and hoarse coughs. It was the judge. Laughing at me. Son, that's what having a brother is. I didn't know what to say. As fate would have it, the judge did know me, or at least saw something in my person that he played right into, my golden child megalomania. Mr. Arky, I can tell you're a smart young man. You're ambitious and well-spoken, and I expect you to be a great leader someday. Do you think that you could stand tall and guide this poor, helpless child from the streets of Calcutta as a good older brother? Fuck, he had my number. Not wanting to refute the statement regarding my high-caliber character, nor looking to disappoint a member of the bench, I shrugged and mumbled that I thought I'd give it a shot. The judge nodded and banged his gavel. Court adjourned, adoption finalized. In the eyes of the law, we were a family. With that gavel coming down, we didn't know that Sam would later go on to be diagnosed with ADHD and ODD, which would go untreated for years. Even when medication was introduced, pharmaceuticals didn't stop Sam from being Sam. The gavel sealed 2 decades worth of fights, sometimes in person, sometimes over the phone, ranging anywhere from carving a swastika into the door of our synagogue to stealing my mom's credit card in order to buy a diamond ring for a girl he just met on the internet. The judge's decree couldn't forecast that Sam would barely pass high school by the skin of his teeth, nor could it see 3 future fiancés, 2 major encounters with the police, and 1 son, Lucas, who is the best thing to come out of a very chaotic life. But here's the thing. Where some might be sad about this kind of lot in life, Sam's happy. Truly and completely, without a doubt, happy. This is his life, and while it might be a mess, he wouldn't have it any other way. As for me, well, my golden child status, it ain't what it used to be. I gave that up when I came to accept the fact that Sam didn't choose me any more than I chose him. I'm glad I did because through Lucas, we found a bond as a father and an uncle. This past February, Sam and I got to spend his 21st birthday weekend getting drunk in San Francisco. By ourselves, and during those few days, I've never felt closer to him. When that judge banged that gavel, he officially made Sam and I brothers, if not friends.
That was VAMP co-founder Jake Arky.